So welcome everyone. Welcome Mrs. Abiola Oyekunle of Emerging Africa Group. I guess I got it right this time. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming um, to have this conversation with us, this money conversation. So please, I'll yield the floor to you now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for this invite and opportunity to speak with my fellow wonderful women doing great things. It's amazing how, we're all taking responsibilities for our financial, independence and growth is essential. So thank you, Sister Nike, for this honors. I'm so grateful and I'm not taking it for granted. I'm sure my colleague will join us shortly. However, pending when she joins, because she will be giving the presentation fully, I would start with just like a pep talk. I would introduce my company and then talk a little bit about, the importance of, this, what we're trying to do today. Okay, so I've been in the financial sector. My name is Abiola Oyekunle. I've been in the commercial banking space for over 17 years. I started my career in 2006, and I've seen a lot, I've engaged with quite a number of people. And my passion mainly has been skilled, towards women. I've seen a lot of women struggling financially, doing a lot, but yet not being able to, accumulate much for themselves. There was a recent study that I saw, I read on, somebody did a research, and this is the finding that women reinvest about 80 to 85%, 80 to 90% of their earnings back into the family. Okay, while men plow back an average of 40 to 45%. So you see, and that is why a lot of women, we seem, I'm sure things are changing, and that is one of my assignments, to ensure that a lot more women are taking, are paying attention to themselves. And it's not because of anything, it's because of the way we are wired, the way God made us. However, I would want you to know that the woman, I don't know, if we're all Christians or, for whatever, for any kind of religion, we can still defer to the Bible. The Bible is a solid, book for reference, anytime, any day, by any religion. If you look at the Proverbs 31 women, she had 7 streams of income. 7 streams of income. That is what, so as a woman, okay, you would see she invested in land, she invested in her business, she had, properties, some things she could call her own while she was still taking care of the family. So it's essential for us, because we're naturally, made to always think about others, because we are nurturers. So we nurture our children, we nurture the family, we nurture our husbands, we nurture every other person, and we put ourselves at the back of the burner. We put ourselves last on the list of priorities. So we would first think of every other person before we think of ourselves. That is the way we are naturally, but it is essential that, somebody is there making us realize that think about yourself. It is okay to do something for yourself, because ultimately we know that whatever we do for ourselves, ultimately it's still coming back to, the family having something saved away, invested somewhere. Okay, so that's just, the background I want to make, and a call I also want to, put out there to women. Is essential that we think about ourselves. Like the law of, if you've read this book, The Richest Man in Babylon, the law of accumulating wealth says that you must pay yourself first. So for those of us that are Christians that believe in tithing, after you've paid your tithe, the next is our percentage are you putting aside for yourself? Is whatever is left that can be shared, can be plowed back into the family. Okay, because we need to also nurture for ourselves. We need to nurture ourselves. We need to build. We need to invest. We need to grow. We need to have, financial muscle is essential. And that is one of the purposes of this gathering. And I'm glad that Sister Nike has been doing this for years. It's amazing. So well done, Susan. Well done to all the women on the call, taking responsibility for your financial growth and development. It is key. Nobody, if you don't do it, who will? Nobody will do it for us. So we need to do it. We need to put ourselves also on that scale of priority and start to do great things for ourselves. So that's just the little pep talk I want to give. I mean, I'm done with that. My colleague is on the call. Her name is Lydia. Amobi, like I was saying, I've been in the commercial banking space. I just transited to the investment banking space, recently, and I'm learning a lot. It's been like, wow, for me. It's as though, it's a totally different terrain for me, and my eyes are opening to a lot of things. And that was one of the reasons why I put out the broadcast that I did. It's that for women to build wealth. It is time for us to do, because there are opportunities, there are massive opportunities. And if you don't have access to this information, that is why we seem to be lagging behind. And that is one of the things we've come here to do, to share information with you. Information is out there for us to take advantage of. So thank you, everyone, once again. God bless you. So Lydia, I'm going to be handing over to Lydia now. Lydia has been in this space for quite a while, so she's quite a veteran. And Lydia, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Abiola. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening. Sorry, we are muted because we don't want to interfere and all, but good evening. We can hear you.
That's fine. Thank you.
Lydia. Yeah, so please, you can go ahead. Okay, yeah.
Thank you very much. So good evening again, and thank you, Abiola, for that pep talk. And then I would like also to thank the organizers of this event for having us on the call this evening. So I have a small presentation that will speak to some of the things that we do at Emerging Africa Asset Management, following from what my colleague has said about women being able to empower themselves to enable us help others better. But the best way to help others is to be empowered yourself. If you board the plane, one of the things they will tell you is, in case there is issues with the air pressure, the first thing you do is to fix your own oxygen mask first before attempting to help your child or any other person. And that's what Abiola has spoken to, need for us to be able to help ourselves, empower ourselves, and then that way we're able to better help all those around us. And then one of the ways that we can do that is to ensure that we are financially literate. And please, may I ask, how much time do we have for this? So I'll know where to start from. How much time do I have?
I know that Mrs. Oyekunle had said that she needs to leave by 6:50, but
Okay.
I don't know about anyone else. I've scheduled this call for 90 minutes, but I don't know. If we can go for that long, that's fine. If not, if we can finish before then, that'll be even more perfect.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I'd like to start from what I'll term as financial literacy, an introduction to financial literacy. And then let me just put this disclaimer out there. I'm not discussing with us what we don't know about. Virtually every one of us would have heard what we're going to discuss here, but we just want to bring it back to our remembrance, or bring it back so it become a top burner for us, particularly in this climb and this time that we're in the economy, what our economy is giving. And so what is very, very key and important to empower oneself is understanding what financial literacy is all about, understanding our finances, understanding how we are going to plan, how we are going to understanding finances generally. That helps put us in a better position to empower ourselves. So what's financial literacy? And this is more like the jewel in the crown. It's not enough for all of us to work hard. Madam Abiola had talked about the Proverbs 31 woman having several streams of income. So she's working hard, in all those streams, and then money is coming in. But the question then would be, is that money also working? Is that money, for those of us who are employees, is that money also working for you? For those of us who are self-employed, who are entrepreneurs and sit at the table, or it doesn't matter what it is we're actually doing to earn that income. The question now is, does that money also work for you? So one of the best ways to earn, to have financial freedom and independence, to be financially comfortable, is to also have the money we are working for, have that money working as hard for us as we are working for it. So investing is the greatest source of accumulating and maintaining wealth. And investing is one of the ways that we can get that money working for us and ensure that it's working hard for us, so that at some point we don't need to work that hard, because the money we have is then doing all the work for us. So financial literacy is important. And according to Wikipedia, it is the possession of the set of skills and knowledge that allow individuals to make informed and effective decisions on all their financial resources. I don't know if you have come across anyone before, or if we have been victims ourselves, but there are many times that we've had cause to make some investment decisions, and it turned out that it was a very bad one. And we were with a client not too long ago, and when discussing with her about some of the investment options we have, she was a bit skeptical, because she said she's been burned before. She's made some investment, huge investments, and then she lost all that money. And then there are a number of people who may have been either victims or known somebody who has had that kind of challenge in the past. Some of these kind of issues can be greatly minimized if we have the requisite financial knowledge and information about investments. It will then help us make effective decisions, and then we'll better be able to manage the resources that we have. So financial literacy is the ability to use the knowledge and skills that we have to manage our financial resources effectively for a lifetime of financial well-being, which is one of the things that all of us should aim for. That lifetime of financial well-being, where we are comfortable even in old age, and even at a time that we're no longer able to work actively as we are able to do in our younger years. So why is it important? It's important because it's necessary, because it equips people with knowledge and skills needed to manage money effectively. It ensures that every financial decision we make is backed by a rationale that empowers us to be confident and secure in our choice. And this is not something we always learn in our conventional education system. Otherwise, most of us would be financially comfortable and stable. But that's not what we find. We go to school, we spend 5 years, 4 years, 6, 7 years, depending on the course of study in schools. But we come out of it, and most of us are not really that savvy when it comes to managing our finances, because this conventional education system does not teach us financial literacy. And so having this financial literacy also helps to reduce the risk of becoming a victim of fraud, which is very rampant in our society today. And so financial planning is another aspect that is also key for every woman that would be empowered, anyone in particular, not just women, for anyone that will be empowered. Financial planning is also key. And it's a systematic approach whereby an individual maximizes the financial resources that's available through management of the resources to best achieve their financial goals and objectives. So we have, everybody would definitely have one source of income or the other. Even if you're not working, even if it's just that you receive gifts, a financial gift, it's a financial resource that has come into your hands. Whether you have 7 means of income or streams of income, or you just have one, it's a financial resource that's come to you. How do you manage those resources that have come to you to ensure that you're maximizing what you have? To ensure that that particular resource that's in your hand is doing the best that it can. at every point in time, at every given point in time. So financial planning is very, very essential. It is a roadmap for both individuals, even companies. Even companies have to do this to ensure that their goals are achieved, because companies and individuals, everyone should have a financial goal. And to be able to achieve that goal, we all need to have a financial plan geared towards achieving those goals that we have set for ourselves. And so why do we need a financial plan? You know, one of many reasons. For example, COVID taught us a lesson. Life happened to everyone across the world. COVID happened. It was unexpected. And so for such unexpected things, we need to have a financial plan in place. We could stop working today. You could you could be asked to leave your place of work if you are working. You could have cause by your choice, by yourself, to choose to leave your place of work for some reasons. Your business could be stopped as a result of one regulation or the other if you are an entrepreneur and work for yourself. I mean, there are so many things that could cause a cessation in the stream of income. What happens if that occurs to one? And then in our country, it's been said that life expectancy is about 61. How old are we now, and how prepared are you for life? Some people may think that they will live till 61. They may live till 90. Between that 61 and 90, what happens? How prepared are you? So these are some of the reasons why it's important for us to be financially savvy and to have a financial plan. And there's another reason that's important for us to have financial plan. We all know what's been going on in the country in the recent past, in the past 1 year. That is about 1 year now since the new government took over. And we all know that the purchasing power has declined, of our naira has declined greatly from what it was before, prior to this particular government. And so for those who don't know how to plan and who don't make adequate plans financially, they're going to be at the brunt of this financial crisis that we're having in the country, and it may not end anytime soon. So it's necessary and very, very critical for us to have that financial plan, that knowledge, and also to have, excuse me, a financial plan in place to enable us weather the storm and go beyond surviving, but also to thrive even in this current economy that we are in now. And so to enable us to achieve this lifestyle, it's important for us to have an investment plan. And so we're going to quickly look at the difference between savings and investments. So according to Keynesian economics, savings are what is left after a person, left over when a person has finished, excuse me, when a person has finished all the expenditures and subtracted from, excuse me, and please let me have a little water.
Okay, so while she takes a break, I just wanted to share something about what she was saying about the purchasing power. So there's something I haven't bought in about 1.5 years or a year or more than a year. And so today when I went to buy it, it was like 3 times the price I last bought it. And I was like, what? What? So just to put a bit of context on that, purchasing power getting diminished. So I don't know, Lydia, if you're ready to take over, please go on.
Thank you very much. See, that's what is something that often comes out of people's mouth every time we go to the markets. If you go to buy things, I mean, you talked about 3 years. 3 years is even a very long time. I mean, you could go to the market last week to pick up an item, and you are back to pick up the same item this week, and they're telling you that the price has gone up, and you can't even show too much of a surprise. They will say, "Madam, don't you know what is happening in the economy?" Do you understand? So the decline is continuous, and we don't know how soon it's going to stabilize. But before then, we will survive. If we have a plan in place, we will do more than survive. We'll be able to thrive. So I was saying that one of the things that will help us to do that is having a proper investment plan in place. And according to Keynesian economics, savings are what a person has left over when the cost of his or her consumer expenditure is subtracted from the amount of disposable income. I mean, that simply means that, okay, you have an income. After you have removed all your expenses, savings is what is left. And I would like to ask, how many agree with your... Can somebody unmute? How many of us agree with this, that savings is what is left after a person has finished removing all her expenses and expenditure from the income that's available?
Well, I agree.
Thank you. Any other person? It's a different view. Okay, so I'll say my own opinion. Pardon?
I said I disagree. Go on, please.
Okay. You want to go ahead and tell us why?
Okay, service is not, I mean, it's not what you do after you've expended. Like we said, pay yourself first, okay? Because the law of finance says expenses would always rise up to meet with income. While I know they finish, say. So the expenses would always be there. But your savings, if you're not careful, will never happen if you don't make it a priority. So you take it out first. Put it out first. Take it out and save. Whatever is left is what expenses will be planned on. That's my own opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I do agree with that. It's difficult to save after we have removed expenses. If we wait to take out all our expenses, it will be difficult to save, especially with the current situation that we found ourselves in the country and even across the world, because these issues are not just here in Nigeria, it's happening across the world. So it will be extremely difficult to save if you wait to remove all your expenditures from the income that you have, except you have gotten to that level, financial freedom or financial independence, what your expenses could be. Then you may not need to think what to spend on. However, if that's not the case, then the first thing to do is to determine what saving would be, and you need to take that out before to expend what you have. And then there are different methods of saving, and aside, you can put it in a deposit account, you can put it in a retirement savings account. There are different ways that one could save. And then investment, on the other hand, is a deliberate act. It's a deliberate act of an individual or an entity, and it involves deployment of money, cash, assets, of money in cash, in assets, in trading activities or securities for the purpose of obtaining target returns over a specified period of time. So one is investing, one is using the money that one has to acquire an asset with the expectation that there will be income over time derived from that asset that has been acquired. And so if that asset that one is acquiring will not provide an income over time, then it's not really an investment. So that's one of the things that we should look out for. There should be profit, there should be an expectation that over time, that's asset that one has acquired. So I'm calling it an asset because it could be different things. It could be different things. If your car will bring in money, then that car can be referred to as an asset. If a land is referred to appreciate in value and then or bring in become a source of income from time to time, that could be referred to as an asset. But whatever it is that one is acquiring, that is not bringing in money, that is not increasing in value, that will not bring an income at some point, either in the immediate or in the future, then that cannot be considered an investment because you're not deriving any income from that asset that has been acquired. So why should we invest? There are different reasons why we should invest, and we should invest so we can become financially independent. It's very, very important. It's very, very important to be financially independent. independence. For those of us who are Christians, this Bible tells us that the poor is more like a slave to the rich. So it's important for financially independent so that we're not dependent, we're not looking at looking up to anybody from time to time. It's important that we are financially independent. And then it's also important to invest so that we can have a good and desired lifestyle. There are many people that, like I read a story today on Dang, I don't know how many followed Dang, there of a Nigerian lady, about the lady that the people she was carrying the pregnancy for abandoned her. She didn't know what to do. She relocated to the village because she had no means of income. To even feed herself was a problem. And she took up that surrogate. She was looking for money. So her quest for money, her desire for money, because she didn't have money, pushed her into doing that. Then she's talking it because she's pregnant with twins. She doesn't have money to take care of herself or the pregnancy. So to have a good and desired lifestyle, where you are not looking up to anybody, where you are not taking decisions that may be detrimental to yourself, to have and that will help you. One of is to have, because we have recurring expenses. So one needs to have good investments because we have those recurring expenses for those who are taking care of children, you have school fees, you have house rent, we spend money on that are recurring. That's something that we have to do on a day-to-day basis or on a yearly basis or periodically. For example, data. Data is something that every day when we wake up, by the time we wake up in the morning, we're already spending money on data. Whether we're charging that day or not, we have recharged already. The point is, once we wake up every day, we are spending money, even while we're sleeping, because this the device is downloading pictures, downloading stuff, constantly using up data. So we have those recurring expenses that have to be met. And then there are times to come into an emergency situation that you need this investment. It will be a cushion so that when something happens, at least you are able to do something before you even begin to reach out to people when if there was need for you to reach out to. But otherwise, you may be able to take care of the emergency situation yourself without too much stress. And then to achieve a goal, for example, your goal could be you want to build a house, you want to go on a vacation, These are some of the reasons why we want to embark on some investments to help us achieve whatever our goals are. And those goals could be at specific intervals too. So that's also important. And for those who may be in debt, it's important to start so that we can get out of debt. And then finally, also, it will help us to have a good retirement life when we get to that time. So the things I will also consider going to invest. So before we start, one needs to know what your net worth is. And this can be calculated by actually taking time to look at what are all the assets that we have. If they were to sell everything we have, what will it come to? And then what are all the expenses that we have? If we net this off, left is our net worth. So one needs to know what is your net worth when you start investing. It's one of the things we should consider. What's your net worth? Record all your expenses. Then we can then draw a personal financial roadmap that defines our goal, because we should have a goal. So we draw a personal financial roadmap that defines our goal. And then we need to know what our risk appetite is, because it's important to have this information. There are certain investments we cannot go into depending on your risk appetite. For example, if you are risk averse, you can't invest in certain things that can depreciate in value, because some people will have high blood pressure if they see that value of the investment had declined. And this could occur depending on the type of investment that one has gone into. So before one starts investing, you need to know what your risk appetites are. You need to evaluate yourself and know where your comfort zone is. And then we need to also avoid circumstances that can lead to fraud. We talked about have that financial it doesn't mean that we will know as much as someone who is into finances, and that's all person does from beginning to, on a day-to-day basis. No, but at least we need to have certain basic information. So such basic information could help you identify the legit financial institutions, because some people that have invested in scams, in Ponzi schemes, probably because they were deceived into thinking that those were legit institutions, and they put their money there. So that's why it's important to have that financial literacy, so that one can avoid falling victim to such institutions. And then we also need to have a good understanding of investment options available, and be ready to adjust and rebalance as we go along. Having a good professional advice, having a professional to work with you to achieve your goals is key. This will help us achieve those goals faster with less pitfalls along the way. So these are kinds of finance. Budgeting is very, very important. Budgeting is very, very key and important. In budgeting, you need to make a plan for all your activities, financial activities. You should have a plan for all our financial activities. There's some help us and produce that. We need to know what our expenses are. We need to know all the things, all the places that our monies go to. It requires some discipline for us to have this budget prepared. So when we have identified all the places that our monies go to, that's our expenses, then we also need to look for and identify all our sources of income, all the places where we get money from. We need to get all of this and look at it, and then be able to now assign, based on the goal that we have in mind, then we need to be able to assign how much, what percentage of our income we want to assign to what expenses. And then this will also help us to know our limits. This will help us to know our limits, and this will also help us to know how well we are doing in terms of the incomes we have. If we need to expand, we need to look for other streams of income. If we need to change what we are doing, it will help us in knowing the expenses we have, those ones that are unnecessary. It will open our eyes to some unnecessary expenditures that we are making. It will open our eyes to also enable us to have a rethink and a consideration as to some of the things we are spending money on. Is there are better alternatives? Are there cheaper alternatives that can do the same thing with the ones we are currently purchasing? So budgeting is very, very important. When we have taken a very good, if we are able to do a proper budget and stick with it, then we'll be able to have better ability in investing and in saving and then investing. And then another component of financial planning is saving. So we've prepared our budget, and like we said earlier, when we're describing savings, the savings should be taken out first as against leaving it till the end. Because if you leave till the end, you may not be able to put aside any fund. So if you have determined what you want to put aside as savings, then take it out, and then that money that you're taking out as savings should not just be left, because like on the screen we have a piggy bank. Money that's in the piggy bank is not working for you. You're just sitting down there idle. It's not doing anything. It's not working. And all the monies that we have should be working for us. Every fund we have should be working for us. There should be no idle fund. So we should move from savings to investments. So we look for investments that would help ensure that all the funds that we have are working very hard for us. In financial institutions, for example, and banks and others, there's something they call overnight. So if you have money in your bank account that you're not using, and then the business for that day has closed, there's something they call overnight. What they call is overnight. They invest that money for just that night. By the next day, the bank gets to pay them some form of interest, even though it may not be too much, but they get something for that money that was in that account overnight. So every fund that one has should be working, should be invested, or should be working for one. One should not just leave funds idle. it's not ideal. So another component is risk management. It's also very, very important to have a proper risk management perspective to the funds and that we have. Being able to ensure that wherever you're putting your money to, assessing and evaluating the risks involved in that investment is very, very key. So that in the quest to maximize return on your funds, you don't end up losing that fund. So it's important that we have a good risk management. It's important that we have a good evaluation of the risk involved in that investment. We understand the risk involved, and where we don't know, if you're working with professionals, they can give us good advice concerning it, and then we are able to. So when we talk about risk, it's not necessarily that you are putting this money in a Ponzi scheme. It's not necessarily that you're putting money in a Ponzi scheme. It could be that the investment you are doing is not the right one for you. And so there may be some risk involved as a result of your lifestyle. If you want to invest in stocks, for example, and you are taking maybe school fees money or house rent money and you put it in stocks, if at the time you need to take out that money, the price of the shares have declined and you pull it out, you stand the risk of losing part of that money because the prices have declined at that time and you have cost to use the money at that time. So your investment was made in a legit organization, into legit instruments, but there was you stand the risk of losing money because you had to pull out that money at that time for that purpose. So it's not always about, it's not just if you are investing in a Ponzi scheme or in a scam. There are other risks that one needs to consider when investing, and that's why it's good to work with professionals in that regard. And so another component of financial planning is retirement planning, because at some point in time, every one of us is going to retire. Some may not be able to work when they are 60, some may want to retire at 70, some may be able to work way beyond 70, but may not make as much money as they were making when they were younger. They may not be able to work as hard. So it's important for us to plan our retirement so that even at that retirement time, we will be able to happen to life as against life happening to us, because we'll be financially buoyant, we'll be financially dependent. We won't need to have to wait for children to take care of us. We won't need to have to be dependent on government or anybody to take care of us, because we have made our plan in time enough to have a good retirement. And then we can enjoy our old age. We can travel, we can travel, we can have vacations, we can relax and enjoy the fruits of our labor over the years. And then finally, if we are able to make a good plan, if we are able to put all that we have said into practice, and we are blessed by God, and we have those assets, and we have businesses, and we have financially comfortable, we have so much now, we then begin to plan, how do we hand over to the next generation? How do we hand over what we have achieved, what we have acquired over the years to the next generation? And that's what we call estate planning. That also is another component of financial planning, and that is very, very key, so that our wealth then lives beyond us and beyond our own generation. And this is achievable. Everybody, this is very much achievable. So the benefits of financial planning include over the long term. It's also ensures financial independence after retirement. It helps to reduce and eliminate debts over time, and it enables us to be better prepared for emergencies, and then ensure that one is able to meet short-term goals, e.g., holiday, down payment for a new home or a new car. Even in retirement, one can also change cars, and I mean, all these things are possible with just proper planning, and even in this current economy that we are in. So ensuring that one's affairs are in order at the time of the inevitable, which will definitely happen to every one of us at some point in time. And for those who are Christians, even if Christ tarries, we would live long by the grace of God. But if one is then called home, one should be sure that one's affairs are another, so that the people will leave behind and not put into confusion and dilemma. And financial planning also helps us with achieving a lifestyle that we desire for ourselves. So what are the steps to building a financial plan? So like I mentioned before, the first step is to identify where we want to be. We need to, so we need to identify what we want to be. We need to have identify what our financial goals is. And then we now prepare a budget for it. We have to prepare a budget that helps us to understand what our expenses are and what's our income. And there's a lot that can be done with that budget. There's quite a lot that can be done with the budget that we need to do with that budget. The first step is to have that budget, identify where we want to be, then have a budget. And then for those who have debts, then we have to now understand and begin to manage our debts. We need to find a way to, as much as possible, pay down and pay the debts that we have. And then while doing that, it's also important to begin to build the emergency fund, because it's lack of those emergency funds that sometimes makes us get into debt when certain things happen, that we just need to get that extra income for those who are disciplined. But there are some people who are not just disciplined, so everything that they need, even when they don't have the money, they go looking for who to borrow them. So we then need to have emergency fund. And it's also important, as much as possible, protect what we have. There's some insurances that we can also take out that helps us if the something an emergency occurs with some of the properties that we have. And then we also need to plan for retirement.
Yeah, sorry to cut in. Sorry, Madam Lydia, please, can you just check the message I sent to you, please? Thank you. Am I the only one that can't hear again?
Just a minute, please.
All right.
I'm trying to.
Hello, Lydia.
Hello? Okay, so I'll continue. So the investment options that are available, there are so many investment options available, and some of those investment options include investment in government bonds, treasury bills, Eurobond, money market instruments, and direct equities. We are with Emerging Africa Asset Management, and it's an institution that's licensed by the government, Securities and Exchange Government, an arm of the government that licenses people that operate in the capital market, and then we are allowed to collect money from the public and invest on their behalf. So what's our investment philosophy and strategy? One of the things that's at the core of our philosophy and strategy is certain principles are very, very key and important. We focus on long-term investing, we focus on value investing, and with proper risk management to ensure that our customers' funds are maximized and protected over time. And then our track record, we have quite a track record. Let me quickly scroll to that. So we launched our mutual funds in 2021, 2021, and we set a record when we launched that mutual fund. And then within a short time, we had surged to the top 25, and I think right now we are at the top 18 from the bottom, because at the time we launched the mutual fund, we were at the bottom, but now we are number 18 on that scale, the CIS league, and we have consistently remained at the top. One of our products has been at the top 3 in terms of return, in terms of yield that we give to the investors. So what are the types of investments that we can offer to our customers? There are quite a number of investments. We have fund and portfolio management, we have wealth management, we have collective investment schemes, and we have alternative investments, which include offshore, and then we also help with comprehensive financial planning and retirement. I don't know if I can go into detail for all those funds, for all these products and services. Should I go through the products one by one? Do I have time for that?
I would say maybe if you could just give us like a helicopter view, and then
Okay.
if there during the question and answer session, if there's anyone in particular you need to refer to at that time, then maybe you can go into the depth at that point. All right, thank you.
Thank you. So portfolio management service just allows us to take a particular individual and understand their needs and craft a portfolio that will be able to meet the needs of that particular person, taking into consideration liquidity, age, and all of that. That's for the portfolio management. And the wealth management takes a wider look at a person's total needs, including like children's school fees, future vacations, and all of that. Like someone who wants to do an NGO. So this this particular service prepares a customized solution that is unique to the clients, and this service is usually for HNIs who have amassed quite a huge amount of wealth, and then they need someone that will help them put these things together and prepare an estate plan and ensure that as time goes on, that their financial affairs are in order. We also have structured products. These are structured products are also designed to suit specific individual needs. And we have products that can take care that for people who want tenured investments between 30 to 365 days, we could offer them investments that can handle this. We have treasury bills, we have commercial paper linked notes, and some other products that like fixed term deposits that we have in the bank. They have the benefits of competitive rates and then tax savings. We could craft something for an individual depending on what they want. And this is also both for Naira and then for dollar denominated investments. For the dollar denominated investments, with as little as 10,000, we could get a tenured investment for them that could be for 90, 180, or 365 days. That's structured product. Structured in the sense that we look at the customer, we understand the customer's needs, and then we are able to offer a product that can give them the kind of return they are looking for with the volume of funds that they have. And then our Head Start investment helps parents to plan for their children. A parent can make this investment for a child and at the age of 18, they then hand over to that child the investment. It gives that child a head start ahead of others whose parents don't have such plans in place for them. With at least 100,000, they can start that investment, and every year they can contribute 10,000 per month towards it, or if they want, they can make a bulk investment of 100,000 per year into that account towards the child's graduation, or when the child is 18. At that point, they can then hand over that investment to the child. We help companies also prepare a welfare scheme for staff. It's important that staff, which is the greatest asset of any organization, is well taken care of, and that those staff are financially stable. So we help set up welfare schemes that can help encourage the staff of organizations to be more committed and to be more okay. Abiola.
Okay, Lydia, thank you. Please, everyone, thank you so much for having us. I would have to go. I have another meeting starting by mention to this by I mean by 6. So this is about that time. Okay, so thank you for having us. Lydia would run through, and I'm sure I would have an opportunity to be back, but you are in good hands. Just want to say bye.
Bye. Maybe we are going to have to bring you back, but enjoy your meeting.
Thank you. You're doing fantastically well. I have to
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. So we have the Emerging Africa Mutual Funds. There are 4 mutual funds. There are 4 mutual funds. They have the Eurobond fund, which is a dollar-denominated investment, and this is different from the one I mentioned earlier. With as little as about $600, one can start this investment in the mutual fund, and then we receive dollars, we return dollars. We don't take naira and exchange to dollars. So the investment is made in dollars and it's then returned to the customer in dollars. The bond fund invests in government bonds, corporate bonds, and so the return on the Eurobond fund as today, the indicative yield is about 8%. Then the bond fund, the indicative yield on the bond fund is about 16%. It invests in government bonds. The money market fund invests in money market instruments, and the indicative yields are 18.4%. While the balanced diversity fund is an investment that has some level of equity in it. And so for those who are not risk averse, for those who have a risk appetite, who want a higher return, they can invest in the balanced diversity fund. However, please note that the balanced diversity fund has some of the assets being invested in shares, that's stocks of companies, and as a result, the price of the bond fund can actually fluctuate. So those are the 4 mutual funds that we have. And we also have the Halal Fund. So for those who want ethical investments, that's one of the best funds that they can invest in. This fund is just about to be launched before the end of next month. We'll be coming to the market with that particular fund. We've received all the necessary approvals and are set for launching of the Halal Fund now. The benefits of investing in the mutual fund, it's professionally managed, and then it helps one to diversify one's investment. So when you invest in the mutual fund, your investments are not put in only one basket. So there are various places where asset classes where those investments are plugged into, and so one gets to reap the benefits of all those asset classes, and then the risk is also diversified. So if anything happens, so like the balanced diversity fund, if you invest in GT Bank and UBA and maybe another bank, and if anything happens to one bank, because you have spread your investment, diversified investments, all your money does not go down. All the money does not go down because one particular company may be back, or one particular sector may have an issue, but the other sectors where the funds are also invested will continue to run. So diversification is very key, and that's one of the benefits. It gives, this mutual funds gives income generation, so gets income is distributed annually for some of them. For some of them, it's on a quarterly basis. The money market fund distributes income quarterly basis, and that income is compounded. So you get the benefits of compounding for the money market fund. And then, of course, capital growth, which is one of the objectives of the mutual funds, to ensure that customer gets capital growth or capital appreciation. And then periodic distribution of income. I've also already spoken to that. We have periodic distribution of income. So finally, I don't know what the different professions of those who are on the call this evening, but why do we need financial advice? And why do we need the experts? When we are sick, we all look for a doctor. When we are building, we look for engineers. When we have a case in the courts, we look for a lawyer. And so when it comes to finances, it's important that we also look for the financial experts so that we can get the best handling, the best treatment, the best advice concerning those financial issues. So I would like to invite us to reach out to Imagine Africa. My colleague Abiola or myself will be happy to help and work with any one of us that has issues, questions, or needs financial support, or needs somebody to help us walk this financial journey to achieving our financial goals. Thank you. So I'd like to take questions now.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for this detailed, very, very detailed presentation. Maybe a bit too detailed than we were even expecting. Thank you so much for the work you put in. So I'd sent a couple of questions through to
Abiola.
Yes, Abiola, but I think you've tried to touch on most of them. You've addressed the issue of your investment philosophy, your track record, the types of investments you offer. I believe you talked about how you manage the risks. I didn't quite get anything on the fees and expenses that are associated with investing with Emerge Africa.
Okay.
So that, if you don't mind, I would like to maybe run through them. Maybe you can begin to answer once in a while. And if anyone else has questions, please, you can use the chat room or you can raise your hands up. Okay, so the other one was if you could give us examples of your past successful investments. I think you started talking about that, but it would be helpful if we let's throw light on that. There was a question about how you communicate with investors and the kind of information you provide. I didn't quite hear that address. What is your approach to liquidity, and how easy is it to access funds when it is needed? That was another one that I might get. Then there's also the issue, we hope that everything goes well, but assuming someone has a reason, maybe there's some conflicts of interest. If I don't want you to invest in a particular thing, I could hear you talk about the halal investments, but assuming I don't even want to do halal, but for example, let's say I don't want to get involved with things that involve, say, alcohol, not because I'm a Muslim or anything, it's just against my personal beliefs and all. Is there an opportunity for me to pick how I want my money to be invested? Then do you have any references or testimonials from other investors?
Thank you very much.
So like I said again, if anyone else, I remember that I don't know if she's still on the call. Oluwaseun and I, we were talking about thank you, Esther. Oluwaseun and I were talking about her investing in dollar-denominated funds, and I know that she was having challenges with the people she had gone to, and there was some conversation about her needing a DOM account or something, and we were told that a third party cannot pay on her behalf because she doesn't have a DOM account. And so I think I would like to know, I don't know if she's also interested in knowing what Emerge Africa has for someone who probably doesn't have a DOM account but wants to get involved in the dollar denominated fund.
All right, thank you very much. I'll run through some of the questions. So I think I've mentioned about our philosophy. Investment philosophy is around certain core principles that we have, which I have spoken to some of them, except in this further clarification on that. So our track record, we've been in existence since 2019. Before 2019, we've been running our office. Imagine Africa started off as a family office way back in 2011. But in 2018, we then obtained license from the government to run the business that we are doing now. So we've been in business since, and then Imagine Africa Asset Management, which is a member of the group. Now the group has about 14 subsidiaries, and Imagine Africa Asset Management is one of the subsidiaries. We started 2019, March 2019, and we got licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. SEC is the arm of the government that regulates our kind of business, just like central bank. regulates the banks that we have in the country. Security and Exchange Commission regulates our own business. So we're licensed by the SEC for the business that we do. And so our track record over these years, we've been managing funds for our customers, and I'm happy to say that we have not lost any customers' funds over this period of time that we've been managing funds for our customers. The types of investments that we offer, I've spoken to some of them. We have mutual funds, we have structured products. Mutual funds is a collection of investments, a pool of investment from different investors that have similar interests, and then we invest on their behalf. Then we have structured products where we design something specifically to suit the person's customers' needs. And then we have some of those other products that are for high net worth individuals with huge volumes of fund. Those are some of the kind of investments that we have. And the expected returns, I mentioned some of the returns. For those ones, for example, the ones for the high net worth, we agree on a benchmark. We agree on what our benchmark return will be. While for the other investments, I'd mentioned some of the returns that we have on them between 7 to 18%. For the structured products, we have some other we have returns that can go as high as 20%, 21%, depending on the volume and the tenor of the investments. How do we manage risk in our investment approach? Now, we have a risk management team that employs a robust risk management approach. Before any investment is made, before we take out any money from the company, any customers or investors' funds for investment in any instrument, our risk management must review it. Our risk management team must review the investment, they must review the company that money is going to ensure, they check all the necessary indices to ensure that whatever it is we're investing, that we are going to get those monies back. Because one of our philosophies, we don't want to lose any customer's money, and we are supposed to ensure that there's capital growth, capital appreciation for the customers, and we invest as such and for such. So the risk management team is saddled with the responsibility of assessing all the instruments and the companies that we may want to invest those customers' funds in to ensure safety of their funds. And then the fees and expenses associated with investing with us. Now, for the different products, there are different fees for those products and services. For the mutual funds, I mentioned that we have about 5 mutual funds, the dollar denominated at 3 naira, and then the halal fund. For the mutual fund is structured in such a way that when I say you are getting 18%, for example, at the end of the period, you're actually getting the 18% because the fees are already embedded and taken out before offering the rate. That is how the regulator requires that it should be run. The fund manager's fee is 1.5% of the total money. So it's not just an individual's money, all the money pulled together. The fee has been pegged by the regulators at 1.5%. So that's the only thing we can charge. And it's after taking out that fee that will then give the interest. So every return that we get on the fund goes back to the customers. We only take 1.5% as stipulated by the regulators. That's for the mutual fund. Now, if we facilitate, for example, the purchase of maybe purchase a treasury bill on behalf of a customer, we can then charge what we call custody fee. We are mandated again by law to have the customer's funds in custody, and that's normally kept with the custodian, and the custodian charges a custody fee for keeping those funds. So the custody fee is about 0.05% of the total fund that is kept in custody. And then for the portfolio managed investments, where we sit with a customer and then profile the customer, understand the customer's needs before taking on the customer's investments to then begin to invest on behalf of the customer. For that, we also charge a 1.5% on the income that we make for the customer. That's for the portfolio managed fees. I think this is about the fees that we charge on our products and services. That's what we charge. So for portfolio managed fees, we charge a fee as agreed with and it's negotiable as agreed with the customer. For the mutual funds, that one is pegged by the regulatory authorities. We don't have a choice on that. So 1.5% of everything. So nothing is charged to the individual investors because it's already taken care of in the total investment that is done for the fund and the expenses associated with it. So there's really no other expenses associated with investing with us apart from the fact that you have to fill a form and then maybe what the bank will charge you for transferring the fund to our own bank account. I think those are the fees that you may need to pay. Can you provide example of past successful investments you have made? I would say the mutual fund, because the mutual fund, for example, any of the mutual funds, we started at zero when we launched in 2021, and then it just that customers' money. Just like this halal fund, they've just been approved. So we're now going to the public to go ask them to invest in these products. So the mutual fund that we launched in 2021, we went to the public, we did the launching, and then people started moving money to us. This is an investment that we have done, and we built it from zero to over 7 billion now. That's the value of the investment now, to over 7 billion. And this period of over 4 years, we've not been fined by the regulatory authorities who constantly, on a monthly and quarterly basis, monitor the investments for the customers' safety. We do the reports from time to time to them. So we've not had any issues. The funds are still running, and not just that they are still running. I mentioned that since Q1 2023, one of our mutual funds has been at the top in terms of yield, one of the top 3 in terms of yield in the capital market. So the investments that we have done, we are ensuring that our customers are getting maximum return. Now, every customer has been satisfied. There may be 1 or 2 that may not have been satisfied with the return we have offered to them. But again, depends on the investment. But in terms of past successful investments, we have actually had quite a number of products that we have successfully launched and been able to carry out for our customers to their satisfaction. How often do you communicate with investors? So for mutual funds, for example, on a monthly basis, we send a statement to them that shows them the value and the status of their investments on a monthly basis. However, if they require these reports before the reporting date, we send it out to them. Then for the other investments that we have, as soon as the investment is done, we send a statement to the customer to let the customer have the terms of the investment so that they are abreast of what is going on. And then the mutual fund, we have an app which they can view their investment and they can see the returns on the investment and the status of the investment on a daily basis. What's your approach to liquidity? Now, depending on the investment type, there's some investments that are not very liquid. And so as long as we have educated customer to understand the kind of investment they're getting into and we're in agreement with the customer, with them invest. So our mutual funds and money market funds, for example, are near everything that we invest in are near liquid, either liquid or very close to liquid investments. So within 2 working days, one can do, a customer can request for their funds and actually get it within 2 working days. But there's a certain kind of investment like commercial paper. So a customer that chooses to invest in a commercial paper, we do let them know has a tenor and you cannot get out of that investment before the expiry date of that investment. So the commercial papers could be for 180 days or 270 days. The returns on them are higher, and commercial papers are usually companies borrowing money from the public. So a customer that invests in a commercial paper or a commercial paper linked notes will be made to understand that this is the maturity date. You can't liquidate before the maturity date. So for the person to liquidate, you now have to find somebody else who is interested in taking up that the balance of that fund, and then it will not be at the new person's terms. So liquidity is there for all the customers whose liquidity needs we understand at the beginning of the investment. We try to ensure that their funds are plowed into instruments that will enable them access the funds when they need it. Mutual funds are liquid within 2 working days. you can get your funds if you request for it within 2 working days. And then if it's an investment like commercial paper, it has to stay till maturity. And if it's, yes, it has to stay till maturity. Even the balance diversity fund, the fund manager buys it back from the investor, even though it has shares, but the fund manager will buy it back from the investor. We don't have to wait to find somebody to buy it for the mutual fund. So that's about our liquidity, how easy it is to access the funds. It is easy. It is that easy within 2 working days. Most times within 24 hours, the investment is paid back when there's a demand for it. How do you handle conflicts of interest in your investment decisions? And can you provide references? So conflicts of interest, I took the conflict of interest to mean in the company where we work, if we have conflicts of interest as to this investment or the funds we have received from the customers, do we ensure that we invest it to the benefit of the customers against to our own benefits? So that's what I understand by how do you handle conflict of interest. So one of the things we do is that we ensure that we comply with regulations, which is very, very key. I said earlier that regulators monitor the investment because they are particular about customers' safety, the safety of customers' funds. They don't want cases that happened in the past where a lot of people lost their money that invested in finance houses. So one of the things we do is to ensure that we familiarize, we are well aware of the rules and regulation guarding the investments that we manage, the funds that we manage, and we comply with those regulations. So anything that conflicts with the regulations, rules and regulations as stipulated by our regulators, we don't go near it. Then we also have some of our investments, we have what we call an investment committee that sits to determine the performance of the funds that we are managing and how well it is doing. And for those investments, for those investment committees, we even have an independent member that we pay. We have an independent member that comes so that he has a view that is different from that of the members of the company. Members of the company, there are things that you may not see, or there are things that you may feel that it's okay. But we have an independent member that comes in and sits on that committee so that his views are not biased. So these are some of the things that we do to ensure that we have no conflict of interest concerning investing and for our customers, their funds, and also ensuring that our customers' interests are protected at all times. We have a good corporate governance policy in the company. So, for example, a friend of the MD cannot come and tell the MD that we should come and invest in their company. Before the MD, before money will move out, that's the people who are in charge of investing those monies will send it to the risk management committee that I've talked about earlier, and only if the risk management approves it. So it's not like a question of MD saying, that's my friend's company, they are looking for targets, give them money. We don't do that, except we have risk management approval. And risk management approval have their own metrics and the things they look out for, the requirements they look out for. If the company meets all of those, then the money can be invested. Otherwise, it is not going to be, when we are not dealing with such. So conflict of interest is usually handled in such a way that it favors the customers, because without our customers, we are not in business at all. For testimonials, I don't have any testimonial here now. I can't mention names either because of confidentiality. I would have mentioned some names because some names are popular that people would know. But for confidentiality's sake, we can't mention names of some of our customers. I do remember that sometime last year, we had actually requested from some of those customers to send their reviews to us, which we publicized. That I will try to get, and maybe Abiola will share one or two people's reviews with you so that I can.
That'll be perfect. Okay. Okay. Then regarding the conflict of interest, I'd also given an example of that. Assuming I have a particular some things that I don't want you to invest in, for example, because of my faith or something, and I don't want to do halal funds. Can you accommodate my request outside of the halal fund for funds?
Yes,
And
we could always.
And we have some questions in the chat from Mudupe. So please go
So
on.
we could also consider that investments, um, private investments that exclude certain things that the customer does not want to be involved in. So once we have a conversation with the customer to understand what the customer wants, we are able to, especially if the volume is sufficient to stand alone, then we are able to meet the customer's needs in terms of that avoiding conflicts of interest where the customer doesn't want certain um, kinds of investments. Yes, we're able to have that conversation. And then there's a question that says, what's the difference between EA and apps like Trove and Cowrywise? So Imagine Africa is a company, like Cowrywise is a company that also has investments products. And then Imagine Africa has its own app, Imagine Wealth app. So Imagine Africa has its own app called Imagine Wealth app, just like Cowrywise and others have their own app. So you can actually look at the app, download the app, and do your investments via the app. So would you advise I move my investment from an app to a traditional fund manager? So the point is that those apps it's not the fund manager. The app is a tool that the fund manager uses to make the investing process easy for the customer. So what we then should be looking out for is who is behind the app, who is the company behind the app, who are the managers of who are the people that set up the app or created the app and manage the fund. That's what will let you know if you can then leave the investment or your money in that particular company. Imagine Africa also has an app. The app is not running on it by itself. We manage the funds. It's just a tool to enable our customers assess their funds, view their investments and its performance. For those who like to use app, there are some people who still refuse to have anything to do with the apps and they prefer to come to us. So I hope that answers the question on the difference between the app and traditional fund manager. So behind every app, there's a fund manager that manages the fund. So the question is, are they licensed? And then can you find them? What will give you more comfort? If you have an issue with the investment, can you find them? Do you have an office where you can go to talk to somebody concerning that investment? So if you are comfortable with all of that and the company behind the app is registered with the government, with the necessary regulatory authorities, then yes, you can then leave your investment with them. But if you're not comfortable with all those questions, then you may want to change companies. So how would Imagine Africa help me grow my money as a beginner? So it would be good to have a conversation with that person. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that's very, very important is to know what your financial goals are. Then we can then craft a plan through which we can then begin to grow the investment and then begin to take, because from time to time opportunities come up that are not part of the regular activities of the company. So as we begin to put aside those funds, when those opportunities come up, we can then plug into those opportunities and take advantage of them. But first, we need to have a conversation and know what your goals are, craft one if there is no goal, and then make the plan on how to achieve those goals. What are the requirements for investing in the Eurobond fund? So to invest in the Eurobond fund, you need to have at least, I think the minimum investment is 5 units, and with the current price, the 5 units is about 600 to 700 naira. So you just need to fill a form. You fill an account opening form. Give us a passport photograph, give us your utility bill or proof of address, and then valid means of identification. Those are the things that are required. And then the money itself. We don't change from naira to dollars. We only receive dollars and return in dollar for the Eurobond investment. We receive dollars and return in dollar. For huge sums, we have assisted some of our clients in the past. We have some people that we work with, some BDCs that we work with. We've assisted them if they are interested and the volume is much. We have assisted them to change the dollars to naira. Sorry, to change their naira naira to dollar and then invest in the dollar investment. But if they have their own dollars and they have their own BDCs or people that they can change money with, that's fine. The investment is done in dollars, strictly in dollars. We don't take naira for that particular investment. So strictly dollars, and then we pay back in dollars.
Okay, so just to be clear, so assuming I want to invest in the euro bond and let's say I have 5 million naira, for example, or 500,000 naira, let me use that as an example. So I can go to some BDC, go change my 500,000 and come with the dollars in cash to Emerging Africa Group. Is that what you're saying?
No, ma'am. So we don't receive cash at all. And the custodian is a merchant bank. They don't do across the counter transactions. So it has to be a transfer to the account.
So that means that I'm still going to need to have a DOM account to be able to pay the custodian, right?
Yes, you need to have a DOM account, or the BDC that you went to with that 5 million, you tell them to transfer it straight to the bank. So that's give them the account number and they transfer to that account. So that's what we do with for some of those people that we've
Okay,
assisted
so
in the past.
in that case, because I am, it looks like that's what Oluwaseun is looking for. Oluwaseun, I'm thinking, is it possible for us to have an offline conversation with Lydia to see how that can be sorted? Would that be okay with you if we have an offline conversation with her?
Yes, please. We can.
Okay, so we would appreciate if you can, Lydia, if you can maybe ask Mrs. Oyekunle for my details or something, because this is it's a burning need for us. It's something we really want to do. So if you can reach out, we'll be happy to continue on that one.
Thank you very much. I will do that. But if I may ask, is there any issue with opening a DOM account? It's not really difficult to do so.
That's why we need to go offline. There's a reason why she can't,
Okay, no
and I'm not
problem. No
doing
problem.
that on it.
Thank you. No problem. I'm fine. That's fine. Please, I hope I have been able to satisfactorily address some of the questions that were raised.
Okay, sorry, I had to mute. I have some interesting people around me. So does anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll just have to say thank you so much to Lydia for taking out time to talk to us. And uh, I guess we have had a really, really helpful time. Hopefully, we'll probably have another session where we'll let you exhaust your slides to teach us on or maybe a couple of sessions to talk about financial planning and all of that. It's all good information. And hopefully maybe next month or something we can organize something, just talk about financial planning for women or something like that, or financial planning for families, because I'm trying to move away from just focusing on women only.
We
If women
should. We are relegating our men and our boys. We focus so much on girls and girl child and all of that. We should begin
yeah,
to
so
think about them too.
after the woman has amassed the money, if we don't educate the men and her sons, they will carry her money and go and waste it. Yeah, I've heard some stories, some really interesting stories, and also I believe it will be helpful to have everyone on board
On
regarding financial
board.
planning.
Thank you.
So I'll
Thank
just
you.
like to thank you so much, Lydia. We know we've taken out of your family time, so I would like us to round up as quickly as possible so that you can go spend time. We can all go spend time with our families. So I would like to thank everyone that came on the call as well. We'll be looking forward to your investments as well, because one of the reasons why I decided that we don't want to just be talking about money, but we want to start taking practical steps. That's why we decided to come together in a group. Like I said at the beginning, I was quite inspired by one of us, Mudupe. She just reminded me that we've been having these conversations for about 6 years, and that's amazing. And
Oh, that's
I want
amazing. 6 years.
yes, And so I would like us to be able to show workings for our 6 years of gathering information, rather than it just being information hanging in the shelf of our in our bookshelves and all. I want us to start showing workings, and I look forward to more sessions. I look forward to people reaching out to invest, to tell us more success stories of how they've taken all the lessons they've learned, and they have used it productively in their lives. So once again, thank you to everyone. And
Thank you
this
very
is
much.
me. Thank you.
Can I put my number in the chat?
You can, that's okay. And then I'll share it in the group for anyone, or I'll keep, yeah, you can. Please go ahead. And I guess I'll just stop recording now, so we can now continue with any other conversations that we want to have if we don't want to leave.
Thank you very much. My number is there now. Okay, I sent my number to you.